Bitcoin, there's no thing that backs it up. And that's what makes it different. It's just belief. You and I assess. You assess the value is going to go down, I assess it's going to go up, and therefore I buy.
What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great week so far. Now, I know I haven't made a video recently. Let's be honest, the price has just been going sideways. It's been a little bit boring these past few days. However, there is an indicator. In fact, it's not really an indicator. It's an index that we use to assess what could possibly be happening with Bitcoin, and it does look like we are finally getting some clues. So I do want to talk about everything that's happening in the Bitcoin chart. You can see we are continuing to consolidate. We are continuing to put in higher lows, but we can't quite get above this resistance, right? So there are some things that I need to talk about. Number one is the fact that Bitcoin has actually reached a multi-year high with its correlation to gold, which is very interesting, right? We know gold is usually looked at as a hedge against inflation, as a safe haven. Is Bitcoin finally starting to become that? Because with all of the banks collapsing and all of the FUD that's come out and all of the terrible news, we still see Bitcoin continuing to consolidate. So I do want to talk about that. I also, again, unfortunately, want to touch on this Elizabeth Warren situation. You might have seen this video that she put out. We have to talk about what is going on with this anti-crypto army stuff. I'm going to do a live reaction in this video. Like, I'm going to just watch it live and tell you exactly how I feel. And then you've got to see what some of these other people are saying about that. On top of it, we also have the UK crypto crackdown, right? It just seems like it's happening everywhere. And also, FedNow in the US is going to be rolling out in the next few months. So what does that mean for crypto? And also, can you believe who actually is willing to buy all of that seized Bitcoin from the US government? All of that today if you're interested, and of course we will go over the short-term price action. So let's dive in, let's have a look. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed, and boom. So here we go, guys. Boom goes the dynamite, right? So we are just continuing to consolidate here. This is nothing new. I've been talking about this. It is good that we are putting in the higher lows, but we are kind of putting in the same highs, which means we keep hitting that resistance. So, theoretically, you should think that the more times you hit a resistance, the more likely that you will break out, right? Because a lot of people would be saying if the inverse was happening right now, right? If we were down here and we were consolidating, you would say, okay, we're probably going to go lower, right? That's generally the thought process of it. Having a look right here, I do want to just point out that there is obviously our next target is around 32,000, but you can actually see up here, there is another tiny little CME futures gap right here. And every single time we've ever had a gap, right? We had this one down here, boom, we came down to fill it. We have this one that we're currently at. We're still bouncing around in it right now. And we have this one up here. So to actually fill that gap for those of you, and again, it's a meme. I don't know why we do it. Self-fulfilling prophecy, but you can see we do fill these. The next fill level is literally all the way up at around $35,000. Now, do I think we're going to get to $35,000 without having a correction? To be totally honest, no, I don't. I do think at some point we will be having a bit of a correction, but I just wanted to show you guys again a very similar fractal, something that is a little bit scary, right? And you can see right here, we had this first major move, right? And then we came down and we consolidated. And what did we consolidate into right here? We consolidated into a double bottom, right? And then we came up, we made a double top, and then we actually came down again. Now, I'm not saying that that's exactly what we're doing, but you can see right here that we sort of have this, rounded area. We came down, double bottom, came back up again, and then we're having that second move, right? This move here into this move, putting in a higher high, putting in a higher high. So just to kind of see what that might look like if we sort of just stretch this out, and we move this over here, can you guys see that similarity? You see how that you see how this right here, do you see how it's like similar? See what I'm saying? That's the only thing that's a little bit scary is just, it looks like a fractal, but here is the thing. Very, very different structures, because whereas this time, you could see we were up here, we were oversold, we were at the top. Right here, you could see that we're at the bottom, right? We're overbought. And over here, you can see we're oversold. Obviously, major wave to the upside, major wave to the downside. Same thing up here, major money flow to the upside, major money flow to the downside, right? So they're not the same scenarios, so just take it with a grain of salt. But I did just kind of want to draw attention to that, right? Having a look here, though, the most logical area for the major resistance that we might run into is obviously this bottom, simply because it was support here, it was support here, and then it turned into resistance, right? So that support, you could say, held from basically January of 2021 and became resistance on May of 2022. So that's a very long time, which means that that's the more significant level, which means that realistically, $31,000 to $32,000 is the next most likely target. So if you guys do want to learn how to trade, make sure that you watch the tutorial popping up above. And I do want to just put out another disclaimer. Again, there are lots of different exchanges that I've talked about, I've mentioned on this channel. You need to be smart about keeping money on exchanges, right? Anything can happen at any point. Any of these exchanges that we've ever talked about on the channel, thank God none of them have actually gone down at this point, but just be careful. That's why I suggest if you guys want to learn decentralized trading, hop on over to Apex Pro. You can own your own coins in your own wallet. You can do your own trading. You don't have to trust third parties, okay? Because, you know, as much as I do my due diligence, you never know if something's going to happen in one of these exchanges, right? On the flip side, though, I do understand that, you know, centralized exchanges, they do offer way more options for altcoins. So again, you have to take that risk. You have to be willing to understand, you know, the risk that you're taking. But anyway, I just wanted to say a disclaimer because, you know, you just never know. And I feel like we get new viewers and I just have to just say that. But again, as long as we maintain above this sort of 25,000 area, above the CME, not the CME futures, the 200 weekly moving average, 25,600. We're good, guys. We're good. So let's crack on and have a look right here. So Crypto Options Exchange Deribit Forward-Looking Bitcoin Volatility Index. This is what we're going to talk about today. It offers clues about the market's expectations for price turbulence over the next 30 days. So it's kind of similar to what the VIX does for Wall Street. It's like their fear gauge, right? So it rises during bouts of risk aversion. Well, we have the DVOL, this is for crypto. It's actually developed a positive correlation recently. So the 30-day correlation is actually flipping positive up to about 0.85. You can see down here, Bitcoin has actually rallied 70%. Now, this is while everybody was calling for the bottom, not calling for the bottom. I'm sorry. We said that the potential bottom was in. Everyone was calling for lower lows, 10K, lower than that, right? But according to OTC Tech Platform Paradigm, funds have been piling into topside or bullish trades via options, completely contradicting what all the negative naysayers have said. And Bitcoin has, in fact, rallied almost 70% in just the first 3 months of this year. Also, Bitcoin's correlation with gold has reached its multi-year high last week and is presently above 50%, exceeding its correlation with US stocks. So even though, yes, Bitcoin is still kind of mirroring a little bit with the stocks, it's actually following more of gold recently. So they say together with on-chain data indicating a growing percentage of Bitcoin long-term investors, this may suggest that Bitcoin's appeal as a safe haven asset is on the ascent, according to data from Kaiko published on April 3rd. And interestingly enough, I know we don't do a ton of gold analysis on this channel, but I mean, a 5-year-old could probably see that this is a cup and handle forming. There's the cup, here's the handle. And it's actually a broadening wedge, right? So, I mean, gold is attempting to break out right now as we're speaking. As I'm making this video, gold is attempting. Now, keep in mind, this would be the 3rd time that gold has attempted to break above this level, but classic cup and handle formation, gold looking for a breakout, Bitcoin being at its highest correlation with gold, everything that's going on in the world, the banking crisis, and Bitcoin acting as a potential safe haven asset. You know, there was always this talk of it's too immature, Bitcoin isn't ready yet, it hasn't grown strong enough. Well, guys, I think we're starting to enter that period in our life where people are realizing the power of Bitcoin, the power of decentralization, and why Bitcoin is a better alternative than a lot of these other options. And I think we are slowly in that maturation period, right? Bitcoin was, you know, it was very young. It was naive, right? And now Bitcoin is a teenager, right? Bitcoin's 15 years old, right? So think about a 15-year-old teenager, right? Bitcoin is maturing, and I think the world is definitely starting to wake up to that. So this is what I want to talk about, guys. We have this Elizabeth Warren interview. This is over from Watch Guru, where she's talking about Bitcoin. So I just wanted to listen to this, and when I first saw this, I was so infuriated. I was so frustrated, just absolute ignorance. But let's see what's going on with this.
With Bitcoin, there's no thing that backs it up. And that's what makes it different. It's just belief. You and I assess. You assess the value is going to go down. I assess it's going to go up, and therefore I buy.
Okay, so first problem right here. There's nothing backing Bitcoin. Essentially, is what she's saying. It's all based on beliefs. No, actually, it's based on mathematical computations. Okay, the miners are verifying the transactions. Energy is used to create it, and you don't have to trust. You can actually verify it. Let's continue.
So it's more like this artwork.
No, because at the end of the day, I can hang that thing on my wall.
Right.
And I can enjoy it,
you
or
could
I
sell
can
it.
throw darts at it.
You could sell it for money.
Sure you can. I mean, there are features.
I like how her first thing she says is I could throw darts at it, right? Just a very typical. And of course you can hang paintings on your wall. You can't hang Bitcoin on a wall. So that's what makes it fake, right?
About it that are the same, but it's not the same. And look, one of the things we have to remember there are a lot of things that come within this crypto world. So for example, we could be talking about, instead of Bitcoin, we could be talking about digital currency. Now that's something very
CBDCs.
different.
I think that's different too. I buy that. I accept that.
That's right, because that's a government-backed electronic transfer. And it can be denominated in dollars, it could be denominated in euros, it could be denominated in some new language that's made up.
So you basically just said Bitcoin. It could be dollars, it could be euros, it could be denominated in some new language, script, written for Bitcoin. So you basically just said Bitcoin.
But that has something that backs it up. It has a government that says, if at the end of the day there's a run on this stuff, everybody wants theirs out, the United States government promises there will be something to back it up. That's what banks are about. There'll be somebody there to back it up.
Wait. So they're promising that if we go on a bank run, that we can actually get the money. Now she's talking about dollars. Okay, let's just separate this super quick. So we've already gone over the math. Okay, that if the US was to even do a 2% bank run, if everyone was to go to the bank, we know you can't even get 10%. They don't even keep that in the bank. If everyone was to go to their bank right now and ask for 2% and pull it out in the form of dollars, the banks would not be able to do it because the money is not actually there. When you hold Bitcoin in your own private wallet, the Bitcoin is there. You don't have to go to the bank of Bitcoin. You don't have to hope that your Bitcoin is there on the other side. Now, yes, if you put your Bitcoin on a centralized exchange, well, then, okay, we don't know where your Bitcoin really is. But if you have Bitcoin in a wallet, in cold storage, in your own possession with your own private key, one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. It's always there. It's never not going to be there. Again, contradicting herself.
But with Bitcoin, that's not the case. And then, of course, can we do one?
Okay, so that's it. So, yeah, I mean, just like, we can literally replay this again. Just go watch Guru. I mean, I wanted to do a live reaction. Just ridiculous. She does not understand what she's talking about. The U.S. government, yes, it's backed on faith, but faith of what? The military? There's nothing. We're not even on the gold standard anymore. So I don't agree with that, And now we're going to switch to FedNow, making it all digital anyway. So now it's basically just glorified, like gaming coins, right? I mean, you might as well just, I don't know. Anyway, V-Bucks. So, and you may have noticed, guys, if you're on Twitter, it doesn't seem like it did it on the mobile app, but on the desktop, Elon Musk has decided that he thinks it's funny to switch the logo of Twitter to Doge, and Doge actually had a 30% pump. That's an old photo. You can see right there. So, side note, but getting back to Elizabeth Warren, building an anti-crypto army. You got to read some of these responses. The big banks really do own you, don't they? Only took 2 terms in the Senate. Wish you'd start fighting for the people again instead of for the banks, right? Pro-tyranny army. I guess we should not be surprised since you have personally benefited from the current corrupt system. Wait, is this implying that she's worth $67 million, but she's only paid $110,000 in taxes? Is that how I'm supposed to imply this? Because that number is definitely skewed. Look, you have all these different people. Dennis Porter says another wave of progressive and Democrats verbalizing opposition to Elizabeth Warren's anti-crypto stance, with some even leaving the Democratic Party over it. Now, I'm not getting political. Honestly, I don't care what you do. don't care what party you're on. I'm just here for the comment section with my popcorn, but also because I am obviously pro-crypto. Senator Warren might single-handedly be responsible for my decision and many others in leaving the Democratic Party. You're on the wrong side, Senator. History will not be kind to you on this one. I live in Massachusetts, and is that Massachusetts or, yeah, Maine, right? Massachusetts, sorry. Oof, that was a slip up. And I'm grateful I will be voting for her opponent. I also left the Democratic Party, single-issue voter. Who is her competitor, and how can we donate to their campaign? Would be great if a source like Ryan would post a link to their campaign. I'm a Democrat, but fading fast. I have no idea who the Republicans are that support crypto. I'm a progressive, Elizabeth Warren. Your anti-crypto stance is defeating. I donated to your campaign in 2020. I am pro-crypto because it allows working families to break generational poverty created by the failed monetary system. Look right here. So she reaches out to the PCAOB, and they do audits and proof of reserves, and she says, I've called on them to be accountable for these crypto sham audits. Now, I do agree. Some of these audits in crypto, I do agree, they're not accurately showing their liabilities. I'm not saying like I agree with her. I'm just saying really seriously, proof of reserves should also come with proof of liabilities. However, let's be straight up here. If Elizabeth Warren saved her entire yearly salary and never spent a dime, it would take her 235 years to accumulate $67 million. So my question is, where did her money come from? Maybe it's time we do an audit on Elizabeth Warren, little audit and liabilities and proof of reserves for her, right? And yeah, so just crazy times. It's sad, and I think she's doing something that has nothing to do with Democrats or Republicans. It's just stupid, okay? There's really no other way you could put it. It makes me furious, it makes me angry, and it's just completely asinine, straight up. Like, there is absolutely, and we'll get to Nigel Green, the CEO of De Beers Group, why he also agrees with us, me, everyone watching, as opposed to her. Side note, though, the U.S. government has announced its intention to sell an additional 41,500 Bitcoin. And that's right, guys, Mr. Justin, son of Tron himself. He says, to minimize the potential impact on the market, I would like to offer to purchase these Bitcoin at a 10% discount for an OTC deal. Come on, buy them for full price, Justin. Buy them for full price. So, what do we got going on? Well, obviously the contagion continues, and now it's not only spread from the US, it's also now London-based crypto firm Saving Block has cited difficulties in dealing with banks over in the UK. The crypto passive portfolio firm applied for a corporate account with 9 different banking service providers. It was turned down by 7 of them. And I can tell you guys, it's definitely tough over here as well. A lot of crypto businesses I know have had a lot of issues, especially recently, being just almost instantly turned down without even evaluation, just going for, to a bank and then they just read the word crypto and just, nope, denied. Like that, right? Terrible. Very terrible for innovation. Company founder Edward said there aren't many options available. Most traditional banks won't offer banking services to crypto firms. He is considering a move to a more friendly climate, right? This is what a lot of them are doing. Banks generally harbor a lot of disdain for crypto because it threatens their business model, right? They cite money laundering concerns, but the reality is that the banks make money from other people's money and they give very little back in return. And I am actually incredibly surprised about Nigel Green, the CEO of De Beers Group. Now, this guy, he doesn't need crypto. These guys have a lot of money. He has a lot of money. Why is he standing up for it? Well, he's been talking and said that lately, what these guys are doing with these banks is outrageous. It's overreaching. He says, why have they decided to step up on crypto, but not in other areas where their customers may or may not decide to invest? It appears that some banks are using an outrageous, overreaching diktat against account holders because they are an anti-crypto, they're anti-crypto over concerns that it poses a threat to the power and influence of traditional banking, presumably. Or else what's their reason? He says, banks have no rights to control their customers' personal financial decision-making, and such restrictions infringe on their privacy, their rights, and their ability to control their own money. He says your bank has no business telling you how or what to invest in. If what you're planning to invest in is perfectly legal, which it is in the UK specifically, then this kind of control over people's private personal finance decision making sounds like something from the pages of Orwell's 1984 and goes against the values of Britain's proud banking heritage. While the banks claim that these measures are in place to protect their customers, Green suggests that they imply that potentially illicit activity is unique to crypto and not to the traditional finance world, when we know that 90% of crime, well, I'm making that number up, but the majority of crime is done using dollars. Come on. We know this. It's proven. Mr. Green or at least fiat, right? Fiat. Mr. Green underlined that investors are attracted to cryptocurrencies for various reasons, including portfolio diversification, potential high returns, a hedge against inflation, and access to a new crypto asset. Now, while, we're having situations like this in the US and the UK, major Brazilian investment bank BTG Pactual is continuing to onboard new cryptocurrency services, and they're even launching their own stablecoin. Pegged to the US dollar, BTG Pactual is preparing to launch its BTG DOL, a new stablecoin, a one-to-one ratio, which they will use the bank's custody service. So yeah, they say the enabled to dollarize a part of their equity is helping customers interact between the traditional finance system and the new digital economy. Trust me, I wish that you could just pay taxes using crypto or using USDC. It would just be so much easier. But no, what do you have to do? You have to take your Bitcoin, you have to convert it to dollars on an exchange. You have to go through, Coinbase or whatever. You have to pay a fee just to get the money in the bank account so that you can pay your taxes. It's ridiculous. By the time you get the money into the bank account, you've been hit how many times on fees just to pay your taxes anyway? It's crazy, right? It would be so much easier if you could just tax the underlying asset and be paid in that. But one thing I will say, a lot of people are scared about a CBDC. FedNow, as they say, could outcompete almost every crypto project in existence. Now, ignore this title that they're using. Basically, in a nutshell, this system is going to be so good for what they need that, even Jerome Powell himself said, they asked him, what do you think about a CBDC? He said it's a long time away. This is probably the closest we're going to get to a CBDC for a long time. So I wouldn't be too worried about that specifically. What I would be worried about more recently is, stuff going on with the Restrict Act and what that could mean for cryptocurrency and how that could define a Bitcoin wallet or a Bitcoin transaction, right? That is something that I would be more inclined to be concerned about. But nevertheless, guys, as you can see right here, again, we have our CBBI historical chart. Still, where are we today? I'll give this actually a quick refresh. Let's refresh it. Let's get a live reading on it. 24. So 24% out of a potential 100. Last we peaked at 80. Either way, we're still potentially around 55 to 60% from what you could even begin to start assuming to be the peak of this market. So even if you buy and the price does crash lower, historically speaking, within the next year to 2 years leading into the halving, basically prices at these levels are a steal if you look historically, right? So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Hope you guys are enjoying yourself. Remember, get subscribed. I do believe we are due for some volatility pretty soon. Go follow me on all my other socials, official links below. And if you do want to learn how to trade, be safe if you're using a centralized exchange. I do, again, recommend Apex. Learn how to use it. It's very, very, very simple to take custody of your own crypto. If you are looking to trade, make sure you watch the tutorial popping up right here, right now. $56,000 in bonuses. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.